Good, happy Tuesday morning. Is Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Tuesday morning edition of WRMK News 12. We have a lot of news to get to on this Tuesday morning, so let's begin right now. First up, HHS moves to scale back childhood vaccine recommendations, prompting medical backlash. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced Monday that it will recommend fewer vaccines for most American children, a sweeping shift that would significantly alter the nation's long-standing immunization schedule. Under the new guidance, the number of vaccines recommended for all children would drop from 17 at the end of 2024 to 11 immunizations for measles, mumps, and rubella, polio, chickenpox, and human HPV would remain universal recommended. Other vaccines, including those for hepatitis A and hepatitis B, would now be advised primarily for children considered at higher risk of infection. The move has drawn concern for many physicians, in part because it was made without approval from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's Independent Advisory Committee on Immunization Practice, the panel that traditionally evaluates vaccine safety and effectiveness. Federal officials said the decision followed a review comparing two U.S. vaccine scheduled for those used in several European countries, including Denmark. The Trump administration has discussed revising the schedule for months, aimed criticism of current vaccine policies from Health and Human Service Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. President Donald Trump praised the changes in a post on Truth Social, calling them common sense reforms. Medical professionals, however, warn that the revision could have serious public health concerns. Politicians are not physicians, and sometimes their recommendations are not based on true science, said Dr. D. Pack, a pediatrician in Salem. In an interview with WRMK News 12, he and other doctors cautioned that scaling back routine vaccinations could increase the risk of outbreaks of preventable diseases that were once nearly eliminated in the United States. If you are not vaccinated, you are bringing a big risk to the family and the community, Dr. Deepak said. You could be carrying and giving it to other kids, too. Dr. Deepak said he has noticed growing anxiety among parents about vaccine safety since the COVID-19 pandemic, fueled in part of misinformation and disinformation circulating on social media, drawing on 4 decades of pediatrician practice. He said he remains confident in the safety and effectiveness of routine childhood vaccines. I tell all my patients, in the end, you are the parent. You're responsible for your child. Nobody loves your child more than you do, Dr. Deepak said. But you've got to do the right thing, and sometimes what you think is right can be just the opposite. The revised recommendations are not mandates. Parents will still be able to decide in consultation with their child's doctor whether to vaccinate. President Trump said vaccines included in the new guidance will continue to be covered by insurance. New Hampshire sees slight uptick in traffic fatalities in 2025. Newly released data shows New Hampshire recorded a small year-to-year increase in traffic deaths in 2025, though fatalities remain well below long-term historical averages. State officials reported 137 traffic-related deaths last year, up from 135 in 2024. While the increase marks a moderate rise, the overall number continues to reflect a downward trend compared to previous decades. Between 1973 and 1991, New Hampshire averaged 170 traffic fatalities annually. Mark, Highway Safety Program Manager for the New Hampshire Department of Transportation, said 2 traffic deaths have been reported so far in 2026. Officials continue to monitor roadway safety trends as the new year begins. New Hampshire man set to plead guilty in international gun trafficking case. A New Hampshire man is expected to plead guilty for his role in a gun trafficking operation tied to an international investigation, according to court records. Prosecutors say Dustin Tuttle purchased more than 40 firearms in New Hampshire on behalf of other individuals, a practice commonly known as straw purchasing. Investigators alleged the weapons were then transported through Vermont before being trafficked into New York and Canada. Authorities said several of the guns were later recovered at crime scenes in Canada, including one connected to a kidnapping investigation. Others were found in the possession of individuals suspected of involvement in organized crime. Although serial numbers on the firearms had been deliberately destroyed, investigators were able to restore at least one serial number and trace the weapon back to Tuttle, court documents show. According to prosecutors, Tuttle admitted he purchased the guns knowing they would be sold to individuals who planned to traffic them. The case remains part of a ongoing investigation into cross-border gun smuggling. New Hampshire marks 250th anniversary of first state constitution. New Hampshire marked a historical milestone Monday with the 250th anniversary of the adoption of its first state constitution, a document that helped lay the groundwork for American independence. The anniversary was commemorated with a special reading of the founding text by Secretary of State David Scanlon at the State Archives in Concord. In 1776, New Hampshire became the first of the American colonies to establish an independent government months before the signing of the Declaration of Independence. On January 5th of 1776, New Hampshire did more than respond to political crisis, said State Archivist Ashley Miller. It helped light the path forward for American independence. Officials said additional commemorative events are planned in the months ahead, leading up to the nationwide celebration in July in the United States' 250th anniversary. 4 injured in a 2-vehicle crash at Bow intersection. 4 people were transported to a local hospital Monday morning following a 2-vehicle crash in Bow, police said. The crash occurred around 10 a.m. at the intersection of Route 3A and Dunkley Road. Authorities said 5 people were traveling in one of the vehicles, 4 of whom suffered non-life-threatening injuries and are expected to recover. The driver of the second vehicle was not injured. The cause of the crash remains under investigation. Anyone with information is asked to contact Lieutenant Pratt by email at mpratt@bownhpd.gov. And that does it for this morning edition of WRMK News 12. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday morning and see you back here later on today for another broadcast. Goodbye, everyone.